Okay, so we're going to be looking at substituting into equations and simplifying to find what the answer is going to be. So for this question, the first thing you want to do when you're looking at equations, look at what numbers you've got, look at what you've been given, and look at what it's asking you to find. So reading through the question, we're given two speeds. Okay. So we've got there, it is moving at 15 meters per second, it speeds up to 23 meters per second. So that there is your initial velocity, and that 23 is your final velocity. Okay, we've also got on it's increasing at a rate of 3 meters per second squared. That squared there telling you it's your acceleration. And it wants to know how far did the car travel, so that's the distance it's wanting you to come up with. Right, so you've got four things. You've got initial velocity, final velocity, acceleration, and a distance. So the equation we're going to be using is the equation v squared minus u squared equals 2 times a times s, where v is your final velocity, u is your initial velocity, a is your acceleration, s is your distance. Right, when you're trying to work this out, there's no point trying to rearrange this because that's going to be really complicated and really unnecessary. You're going to waste your time rearranging it and struggling to get it right when there's a much simpler way of doing it. So what we want to do is just put your numbers straight into your equation. Okay, so we've got first off v squared, we've got there your final velocity 23 meters per second. Okay, so 23 squared minus your initial velocity of 15 equals 2 times your acceleration, which is 3, times s. Because we don't know s yet, we don't know the distance yet, so we're going to leave that in there as that. But don't just leave it blank. Don't just not put anything in there because you'll forget to add it in later. Put that s in there as like a placeholder for something to work out later. Right, now I want to look at what can we do. Okay, so I'm thinking, what can I do on each side? I can do 23 squared. So 23 squared, okay, it's 529. Minus 15 squared, I can do that. Okay, that's 225 equals, and I can do 2 times 3, so that'll be 6 times s. Right, so again, thinking what can I do? I can do 529, take away 225, gives me 304, equals 6 times s. Now we've got that down now to a simple three-part equation. Okay, so 304 equals 6 times s. So 6 times s is 304. So working that backwards, thinking, right, so if I want to get just s on its own, if I've times s by 6 to get 304, I want to divide 304 by 6 to get s. So 304 divided by 6 will give us our distance. So divide that by 6 is going to give us 50.67. So it's 50.6 recurring. Round that to 2 decimal places, and that is going to be meters. Okay, so that's the model for the application. You need to do exactly the same thing, use the same equation, go through the question, underline what you've got, look at what it's asking you for, and put your numbers in and simplify. So I want to see lots of working out, lots of different steps, because otherwise you don't try and do everything at once. Don't try and make anything more difficult than it needs to be. Okay?